See, right up until the bit where you called yourself a loser at the end, then I was getting more and more annoyed at that because it all just smacks of absolute arrogance. I would have won if I wanted to. I just didn't want to this week. I've had enough of this. Right, this week, I want your word that we're going to go at it again. Hello and welcome to the Inane Campaign podcast. I am Mark Rowe and once again I'm joined by Andy Gleeks, and together we will be dipping our nets into the pool of change.org and looking for the most bizarre and interesting petitions that we can find before going head to head to try and win the most support for our very own inane campaigns. Andy, how are you, my friend?
Mark, I want to start with an apology. I said incorrectly last week that in order to get a signature for my Rishi Sunak petition, I had messaged my third cousin. I have since seen a picture online of a tea towel that explains all the different types of cousins that you can get. And I actually meant my first cousin once removed. So I'm really sorry for any distress caused. This isn't the sort of thing we want to happen on the Inane Campaign podcast. We try to ensure our editorial processes are peerless. Not only have I let myself down, Mark, I've let my family down.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to forgive. I didn't know that apology was coming, but I'm going to forgive you, Andy, because it is hard to get your head around, isn't it? My nan, my crazy dead nan, used to be brilliant at that. You would just pluck a name out of somebody that you'd met and she'd be able to reel off which kind of cousin they were and how many removed and all of that kind of stuff. But it's difficult for the layman, so I will forgive you.
I'll try and find a picture of that tea towel and I'll put it on our Facebook group so that everybody in our Facebook group can become like your crazy nan.
What, dead?
Well, no. I think I'm more enlightened about family positions and relationships and so on. I mean, if they want to be dead, I'm sure we can sort that out too.
Right, let's talk about this week. Let's talk about what you've been through with the competition this week, because it's not been quite as fierce a battle as it's been previously.
Nah, it's been a pretty chilled week. I've really enjoyed myself this week. I've been loving it. I was really proud of my efforts last week. And I was really proud of my efforts this week as well, because I got 11 supporters in the end. I was chuffed to bits because I did barely anything.
I was going to say, it feels like you'd taken the loss before we even started this week and just weren't prepared to play ball, to the point where on Monday I was so far ahead of you that I had to try and goad you into playing by telling you that this week I was going to have the biggest win in the history of the Inane Campaign podcast.
You goaded me a little bit, so I did a little bit more today.
You have the demeanour of a man who is so happy to have escaped this week and is just chilled out and relaxed. I hope that that's not a sign of things to come. I hope you're going to get back into serious competition next week.
I'm hoping that I'll go again this week coming. And, you needed a win under your belt. I did toy with ambushing you today. I did. I was going to call it, and I talked to you about this as well, I was going to call it hashtag Tea Time Takedown. And I was just going to message a hardcore group of about 20 followers to blitz you and win. But instead I put it as a post. I remember my setting last week, which is everyone but Mark. I put an everyone but Mark message out, tagged the people on an update, but tagging the people isn't as personalised, and they were not as keen to get on board the Gleeksy gravy train this time. But I do want to know one thing. How did you feel when you saw my signatures creep up today around 5 o'clock?
I had said, foolishly, that I'd be a little bit proud of you. if you did come at me with some kind of ambush and try and take over. I also said that I was fully ready for it and fully expecting it, which was a complete lie. I had no idea what I would have done if the signatures had started to rapidly catch me up, because I had nothing. It would have just been pure, sheer panic messaging people going, please help, I need your support.
You did have one strategy.
Well, I did get my kids to sign it today.
That's a good strategy. I seen those two names pop up, and I knew instinctively that they were both your kids, and I was like, so this is his fallback option. And then I thought, how many kids does Mark actually have? 3. His fallback option is bad, and one of those kids is 4, maybe?
5 years old, yeah, so he didn't sign it. But I will definitely, if I'm desperate next week...
He couldn't find. So basically he had 2.
I had 2 up my sleeve, and I used both of those straight away. The moment that the numbers started to go up, I was like, kids, get your phones. You can have extra screen time. We need to sign this petition. Get on with it.
I like the idea of both your children behind emergency glass. And you just break it. Right, you two, get to the smartphones right now.
Because my campaign this week was to turn Big Ben into the world's biggest cuckoo clock. So I'd been on like Love London and London is Great on Facebook groups. And it got loads and loads of people sort of laughing and liking and loving the post that I put on Facebook. And absolutely 0 signatures, absolutely nothing. So the only ones that I did have were people who had played along in the last couple of weeks. And I think we're starting to I think they're expecting it now. I think people are starting to join in with the game. But I was particularly impressed with Emma Hunt, who you got the week before last to join in with your campaign. And we had a bit of a set too, because I'd put some things on our Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're listening to this and you want to come and join in our Facebook group, the Inane Campaign Podcast, we put all of the different campaigns on there, not just the ones we're doing, but the ones that we find and all of that kind of stuff. But we put this post up on there, and I had been explaining my campaign to Emma Hunt, who had commented on there, and just as I was thinking that she was going to come and join my campaign, you just chipped in, don't sign his, sign mine. Sign my like a 5-year-old in the playground. No, come and sign my campaign.
I was using your tactics from last week, Mark.
Well, you said at that point, you went, well, no, Emma's an old friend of mine. I used to tutor her kids. There's absolutely no way that she's going to be on your team. Until this week, Andy. Until this week, because she signed my petition this week, didn't she?
Yeah, I hadn't bargained for the fact that Emma's playing it properly and assessing things on their merits. And it just so happens that up until now, she'd basically assessed everything and was seeing like the merits of my campaigns. And this week she just went, no, actually, no thanks. Yeah, I do want to see Big Ben become a massive cuckoo clock, which I think actually makes us a laughing stock, Mark. I say us, I don't really identify as British. It makes you a laughing stock. You're going to take this symbol of British statesmanship with democracy. You're going to have a giant cuckoo coming out of it. I think that's absolutely shambolic. And I think that's completely in keeping with Brexit and everything that Brexit is as well, mate.
Well, I was going to say, our country's a laughing stock as it is. Surely it's better to poke a bit of fun at it.
Lean into it. Absolutely embrace it.
Just looking for one comment that was written on there, because I've got some lovely ones this week. There was people putting their reasons for signing. There was all the usual stuff. Unoriginal things like my brother Mark told me to sign it, obviously. We don't need that. We want a bit more originality than that. This is a great one. I don't know this guy at all. Maybe he was one of the London Facebook group people. Maybe it did work. Great idea. The bird will symbolise our country's ascent to the sunlit uplands of Brexit. Rodhole's emu would be an appropriate choice of bird. Emus cannot fly, so presumably it would symbolically plunge into the Thames and then scramble back up the Elizabeth Tower to the clock face.
Yes, that man. He gets it. What a legend.
Yeah, that's William Basham. So well done, William Basham. Thank you very much for your support this week. That really cheered me up.
I also thought in general about the the competition. I was 5-1 up last week, and I didn't want to go hard this week for a number of reasons. One, I was genuinely worried about your mental health. Two, I don't want to turn into like the 1990s Manchester United of the change.org competition petition podcast world, just winning week after week. Who wants that? And then three, I need to stay grounded and remind people of my vulnerability. Winning so much just doesn't chime with the Gleeksy brand, mate. So...
See, right up until the bit where you called yourself a loser at the end then, I was getting more and more annoyed at that because it all just smacks of absolute arrogance. I would have won if I wanted to. I just didn't want to this week. I've had enough of this, right? This week, I want your word that we're going to go at it again. Because I'll be honest, even though I was ahead, it wasn't fulfilling this week. There was something missing in that win. It didn't feel good. I need to have a fair fight and come out on top.
I'll put a shift in.
Right. Okay. I'll take that. We'll go with that. So this week, it's on.
It's on, like Donkey Kong.
All right, so when you've been shuffling around the world of change, what have you stumbled across this week?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Emma, because I think she is definitely our diehard inner, our most diehard inner. She engages with everything, and she sent me some stuff through. She spotted one, which I thought was great, and it was... Make potato as the universal vegetable of the planet and make it recognizable to everyone as a valuable entity and not just another common or staple food. Now, so far, so kind of run-of-the-mill, blah, 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 change.org kind of intro. But this is the bit which I love. Potato is love. Potato is life. Potato for all. Potato for life. Only potato, love potato.
Do you know what that sounds like? It sounds like Eric Cantona's saying it on a 1990s advert, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like this quasi-philosophical. I also think it sounds a bit like Baz Luhrmann's Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen, but it's just the potato-based remix. So yeah, I was enjoying that, and obviously I don't want to deal in lazy stereotypes, but as an Irishman, I can absolutely get behind potato as the universal vegetable. Although I would caution some concern on being too reliant on potatoes because that hasn't ended well for Irish people in the past.
That's absolutely fair point, and responsible of you to point that out, I think.
What sort of things have you been encountering?
Oh, I found a few this week. I found a few really good ones. I had to be a bit selective about what I was going to actually talk about. I might keep some up my sleeve for next week. A couple of weeks ago, I did a campaign about the Isle of Man and renaming the Isle of Man to be a bit more gender balanced. And this campaign sort of chimes in with that. It was to rename Postman Pat, Post Person Pat.
Yeah, I get, yeah. Go on.
In the description, the guy put this about his children, which I think is it's a really important message for us all to think about. My son looked at me while watching an episode on CBeebies last week and said, "They can't let a woman drive the post van as the mail would never get there on time. They can't let a man have Mrs. Goggins' job because the shop would be messy. The BBC should be ashamed of themselves. It's time that they stopped reinforcing gender stereotypes in this manner. It's too late for Banana Man, but this show can be saved before future generations are damaged forever."
What? Well, hang on. What does "it's too late for Banana Man" mean?
Well, I think because they've stopped showing that, but they still show Post Person Pat.
Oh, right. It's not like there's some sort of gender-based inequality going on in Banana Man. What, there should have been a banana woman or a banana girl?
Well, I think that it should have been Banana Person again.
But you've got Bananarama, don't you? They were three girls.
Well, it's lucky that they weren't trying to argue Banana Man, Banana Person, because you would have shot them down in flames with that argument. You'd have walked in like an Egyptian and just shot them down in flames.
That was the Bangles.
That was the Bangles. What was Bananarama then?
Robert De Niro's waiting. He's talking Italian.
Okay, good. I don't know that. I mean, I obviously was aware of Bananarama, but maybe it's just your version of it that I don't recognise. But I don't recognise
that was a great rendition of one of Bananarama's most famous songs. Givo, you do not know Robert De Niro's Waiting by Bananarama. I find that very hard to believe because you and I are very similar ages. Did you grow up inside a locked cabinet? You go and find that on YouTube right now, Mark. Can you tell me that my singing was on point?
I'm not going to do that, but I will listen afterwards and I might try and find a link to it and again put it on the Facebook page. Tell you what, if you think Andy's version of Bananarama was absolutely spot on, then drop us a line on social media or write a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, write a comment below and tell us what you thought of Andy's rendition of Bananarama's what? Robert De Niro?
Robert De Niro's Waiting, I believe the name of the track is called. I may be wrong, it might be something else, but that's the first line and I'm pretty sure that's the chorus. Do you want me to do it again?
Yeah, go on, one more.
Robert De Niro's waiting, he's talking Italian.
No, nothing.
Still nothing?
Nothing.
Oh dear, you're wrong, Mark.
This was a good one. These are some big fans of Lemmy, right? Lemmy of Motorhead fame, who sadly was taken a couple of years ago.
Where was he taken to?
Well, that is an existential discussion that we will have at another time.
Sidcup?
Sidcup, yeah.
Southeast London. Lemmy was taken to Southeast London where he's being held in a correctional facility for crimes against music.
For crimes against music? You're not a fan?
I don't like any of that sort of heavy rock nonsense. I like a bit of melody, a bit of discernible tune. I'm a big fan of Bananarama.
Yeah, well, I've noticed. I can see. Anyway, there is 156,968 people who would disagree with you, Andy, because they signed a petition to make Lemium the new name for heavy metals in the periodic table.
Lemium,
yeah.
You would have, is it a column of heavy metals in the periodic table? My science is a bit shonky, Mark. Are they the ones that are all along the bottom, the heavy metals?
I guess so. But also, Lemium suggests sort of a metal, doesn't it, rather than a group of metals. But they definitely said the new name for heavy metals in the periodic table.
The Lemmings.
No, Lemiums.
I'm just thinking of new names because I don't like Lemmings. I think they should be called Lemmings.
I think that you are going to cause great offence to all of these people who think it is an important thing.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'll cause offence. What crazy heavy metal biker people going to do to me?
I really, really would love, right, at some point to take you to a heavy metal gig and then just in the middle of the night turn around and go, he said that you should all be called Lemmings, and then just watch what happens to you.
Watch what happens as they jump to their death when faced with the brutality that is a Galaxy Smackdown. There'll be true lemmings then, won't there?
Somehow, I don't think it's going to end like that, but there you go.
It's all the faux arrogance and confidence, Mark. It's completely on point for Gleeksy, isn't it? It's my brand. It's like, it's all made up. I will get my head battered at a mosh pit by Lemians, as they like to be called, their proper formal name, which I will be sticking to from now on.
There you go. I'm glad that you've learnt something along this.
Yeah, don't throw down against crazy death metalers. I've got one more. from another friend of mine and listener to the podcast, Lucas Jolson. And he sent me this last week, and apologies I missed it out last week. But do you know these Battle Royale games like Fortnite, and I think there's other ones as well. There's one called Apex Legends. I don't know if your kids play Apex Legends. I know nothing about these sort of games, really. I know that my nephew spends a lot of time on Fortnite, way too much time on Fortnite.
My boy plays Fortnite, and he comes in and he says, "I've just won another battle royale on the big slam on my first attempt with no lives," and I'm like, "Well done, son. Good." I have no idea what any of it means.
No, I don't either. Obviously, they're massive multiplayer games, and the idea is there's 99 people from across the world all aspiring to be the last man standing. But Lucas sent me this through, and it's maybe the saddest, bleakest thing that I've ever heard. And somebody on one of these Battle Royale games wants a solo mode, and they've just put, "We need solo mode for Apex Legends. There are a lot of people out there who stop playing the game just because they don't have solo mode. There are people who just don't have friends."
Oh, that is sad.
I mean, let's just get that guy a mate, and let's just get him a friend.
Just a pen pal will do.
A pen pal? Oh, absolutely. Well, pen pal's still a thing.
I doubt it, because of the internet and emails and Fortnite. Did lots of people sign that petition? Because you'd think, I mean, we know how hard it is to get people to sign your petition, and you are very much relying on your friends to join in and sign your petitions. So if somebody is starting a petition because they don't have any friends, I'm assuming it's not going to get very far.
2,081 people have signed that. That's way more than anything we've ever done.
Yeah. Well, that's just shot my theory down, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's got people from all across the world signing this petition. I did sign it and put, "This may be the bleakest sentence I've ever read. There are people who just don't have friends," just to kind of remind them, "Do you know what, mate? You need to up your game and get out a bit more."
Yeah, well, at least you joined in. Doesn't it warm your heart slightly that 2,000 and whatever people have all shown a bit of solidarity with this person?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'd also prefer an in real life friend. So, it's good. It's great that the internet are getting behind him and giving him a little helping hand and all the rest of it. But this person needs human contact. He doesn't need to be playing any more video games. He needs a hug. He needs somebody to take him out and play a bit of football with him, do some keepy-ups with him or something, take him bowling. No, you can't do any of these things anymore, can you? Because of Corona.
Get on the computer games.
Yeah, probably be as well, just in playing solo Apex Legends, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Fair play. I'll keep one back for next week, so look forward to that one. That's about aubergines. How many pages do you think on change.org have the word pirate in them?
Oh, there's going to be a lot, I think. I'm going to go with 93 pages.
Yeah, you're in the right ballpark. There's 50 pages of pirate petitions, or some element of pirate involved. And pirates, obviously, someone wanted a pirate emoji, didn't they? Of course they did.
Yeah.
And they're clearly after like an image of an emoji with one of those old-fashioned hats that you get when you're a pirate back in it, which, by the way, a bit of education for you here, Mark. They're called tricorns.
Yes, I was aware of that.
Were you?
Yeah, I knew that.
Right, so hang on. You don't watch films, but you know what a pirate's hat is called from like the 18th century?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think why I know that, but I can't tell you why I know that. They have three points. So
yeah, that makes sense. But I didn't know that until I came across this. So they're probably looking for an emoji like that, with a tricorn, an eye patch, and a peg leg. I mean, what would a pirate emoji look like nowadays? It'd probably be a little man with a dinghy and a rocket launcher with Captain Phillips in a headlock or something.
Machine gun, yeah. I like the way that we started this podcast about, 7 or 8 weeks ago, and thought it was hilarious when we saw these things that they wanted a particular emoji, and now we treat it with such disdain when we see a campaign to have an emoji of a particular thing. We're so above that. We don't need those kind of ridiculous campaigns. We want something better.
You're never going to believe what my campaign is for this week. Nah, it's not. It's not. It's not an emoji. It's not an emoji. I will do an emoji one at one point. But I've got a story about a pirate that I used to do on stage. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go on.
So now this is going to sound like it's made up, but I swear to you it's 100% true. I witnessed an armed robbery one day when I was in my local shop looking for my dinner. 2 robbers ran in to rob the shop waving cutlasses.
What, actual curvy swords?
Actually, curvy swords. I mean, who robs a shop with a cutlass? Like Long John Silver? These 2 lads ran in, right? Hoods up, scarves over their faces, full matching Adidas tracksuits.
And cutlasses. That is brilliant.
They look like 2 chavs doing community service on the Black Pearl, Mark. These lads were not prepared for the sarcasm that was going to come their way from the people working in the shop. Like you've heard me do this bit before, but I think Northern Irish people are the most sarcastic people in the world, aren't they, Mark? Because they've called 30 years of bombing, rioting, and killing the Troubles. What do you call them? World War I, Northern Ireland? A bit of a kerfuffle. So the first robber came in, right, and he shook the cutlass at the woman and told her to fill a bag with money. And she looked at the cutlass and said, really deadpan, "I'm really sorry, love, but we don't have any pieces of it." It's just unbelievable, like. And he was getting really bent out of shape at this point, and he started threatening her even more. And she doubled down. She says, "What, if I don't give you any money, are you going to make me walk the plank?" But the last bit was even better, right? The other fella wanted cigarettes. So there was another woman working on the till on the same sort of counter. And this is the most sarcastic thing I've ever heard. So he says, "Fill that bag up with cigarettes." And she said, "I'm really sorry, love, but if it's cigarettes you want, I'm going to need to see some ID."
I love that. Love the idea of ID in the robbers. Did it work? It sounds like the sort of Derren Brown kind of stuff that you say to somebody that absolutely throws them off their game, and they just turned and walked out, head in their hands, unable to carry on with their robbery. Did it work? Did it put them off?
Well, I mean, the cutlasses had an effect more or less after that. So they said their bits of sarcasm, and then they duly went about filling the bag full of cigarettes and all the rest of it. But they did let me watch the footage back because I knew them. I frequented that shop quite regularly, and they said a couple of weeks afterwards, they were like, "Do you want to watch it back? Because it's a bit of a laugh." I don't know about you, Mark, but back in the day, everybody loved a good pirate video, didn't they?
I'll tell you this last one. This is up there with my favourite inane campaign that somebody else has written that I have found on Change ever. I think this might be the one.
This sounds exciting.
Yeah. Do you remember they did, a few years ago, there was that vote to rename a ship or a boat. They named it Boaty McBoatface, right? But this campaign is furious that they never followed through on that promise. And quite rightly, I think they're saying, if you have a referendum, you have to follow through on the result. That's what we've all been told, and they didn't do it. So they have gone with this as their campaign. Rename David Attenborough Boaty McBoatface.
Go on.
Well, the description says this. The should-be-named polar research ship RRS Boaty McBoatface has outrageously been named RRS Sir David Attenborough. It's obviously unacceptable to ignore the will of the internet and instead name this vessel after a beloved public figure. To make up for this injustice, it's proposed that the aforementioned legendary broadcaster be renamed Boaty McBoatface in order to compensate for this wrongdoing.
So rename him.
Well, they named the boat, instead of naming the boat Boaty McBoatface, they named it David Attenborough. So they're saying, we'd better rename David Attenborough Boaty McBoatface. It's only right.
I mean, I can see that happening. He's in no way a national treasure. He's in no way been one of the most critically acclaimed natural world broadcasters for over 50 years. I might have plucked that number out of somewhere. He feels like
I think you're right. I think it's more than that.
Boaty McBoatface's Blue Planet.
If he was a true fan of democracy, I think he'd submit to it. He'd allow it.
Yeah, I don't know. How long do you think David Attenborough's got left?
Don't know. He's well into his 90s now, isn't he?
He doesn't seem to slow down at all. I'm pretty sure it's an android, David Attenborough, and he's been replaced at some point. I think if you cut his face open, you'll just see circuitry.
I reckon he's done enough wildlife documentaries now that he never needs to record any more dialogue again. They can just piece together things that he's previously said to talk about anything that happens in the world.
I think you're probably right. Like a sort of cassette boy. Have you ever seen those cassette boy videos? Where like figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, just splicing them from everywhere. David Attenborough's sat somewhere. He's been retired for about 10 years now. He sat somewhere drinking a strawberry daiquiri and having himself fanned by a range of nubile men and women. You know, who am I to be stereotypical? It can be everybody. All genders can be serving people. So maybe he's in a bath of beans.
I expect he probably is. Although the methane that might produce would probably be bad for the environment, so he wouldn't encourage it.
That's why David McBoatyface is never in a bath of beans.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the only reason why. Here's one of the comments as well, one of the reasons for signing. This person is very angry, so I'm going to try and capture the angry sentiment behind their message. It says this: I voted for Boaty McBoatface, and I'm not leaving here until someone or something gets named Boaty, damn it.
They might be waiting some time. They should wait and name their first child Boaty McBoatface.
No, I don't think they should. I think you're dismissing this out of hand, and really, they have a fair point.
See, I like to treat all referendums as simply advisory referendums.
Yeah, well, that would have made things much more simple.
I see the trouble that happens when you make referendums do or die.
Right, shall we talk about our campaigns for this week? Let's talk about the ones that we ruled out first. What did you decide against?
I ummed and ahed about this for a long time, and I think it was nearly going to be my campaign. But I think Jeff Bezos should give everyone free Prime Video.
Okay.
Because
I'm starting to think again that this is not particularly inane. I think there's some good sense and logic to that.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's maybe why I decided against it. Do you ever watch Friends, Mark?
Yeah.
Do you know when Monica had a boyfriend and he was played by the guy that ended up doing a load of Marvel movies, Jon Favreau?
Yeah, and he was like a cage fighter, but really rich.
Yeah. He was really rich and he dabbled in the cage fighting in the MMA. I feel like Jeff Bezos is at that point where he could just treat TV like that and just dabble with making it and, doing stuff in TV, but just give us it for free. He can afford it. He's worth 180.4 billion. I just think he's still got loads left. He could mess around with telly like Abramovich does with football and Chelsea. He could just say he wants a series made with killer tarantulas that are being investigated by half human, half prawn detectives, but it's set in feudal England. He could star in it, direct it, produce it. He could write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. He could just, and then he could give us the rest of the decent telly on Amazon Prime for nothing forever.
Do you remember when, before the last general election, and Labour said, why don't we give everybody free internet? And it was laughed at as a ridiculous proposition. It's sort of down that route, isn't it?
Yeah, but people like telly. The internet is one thing.
Hang on. Yeah, but people like telly. They don't really like the internet. Nobody really is into the internet. Nobody ever uses the internet.
Fundamentally, the telly is more important than the internet because the telly, although the internet has telly on it, it comes on the telly most of the time. And the telly is the most important thing. People just need to see serialized drama or whatever it is. The telly's the most important thing. People will get more viscerally up in arms about this than free internet. And I know that doesn't make any sense and there's no logic applied to it.
Well played for trying to defend that point of view, but it was absolute garbage. I've got a couple that I've ruled out. And again, I'm not 100% sure why. First one, I was thinking about what everybody wants in life, and everybody talks about winning the lottery. And there's a bit of an argument about whether it's actually a good thing or a bad thing, and whether it can ruin your life. But I think everybody thinks that they would be okay if they won the lottery. They want to be in that position. So I think we should make it easier. Make the national lottery easier by just only needing to pick one number.
Okay. Are you good at maths, Mark?
Well, what's the problem with that?
Well, if there's, I don't know, there used to be 49 numbers. And
Yeah.
if you've only got to pick one number to win the lottery, there's going to be a lot of winners, Mark.
Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, not if you win like 60 quid.
Maybe not if it's 60 quid. You can have a bigger pool of numbers to pick from.
Yeah, that's just the opposite way round then. That's the same thing, but the opposite way round. If you pick 6 numbers from 50, but you pick one number from 6 billion, that's the same thing. That's a lottery with the same odds. They're just a different kind of format.
No, we'll just go like 1 to 90. It can only be 2 digits. Don't go getting silly. 1 to 99, right? You've got a few more numbers. You just pick one number. Yeah, there'll be a few more winners. Yes, you might win a little bit less, but who needs 15 million anyway? You could just win a bit. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I think you might need to do due diligence on this one. I mean, I'm on board completely. I've played the National Lottery any number of times and been left very disappointed when I thought I was going to win quite a substantial amount of money, and I put my slip in and got given a go next week.
How much better would you feel if you just picked one number and that meant that you'd won the jackpot?
Yeah, but then everyone would end up jackpot winners, wouldn't they?
No, for every 99 people, there would be 98 that hadn't picked the right number.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see why you're a drama teacher, not mathematics, mate. I'm an English teacher. I'm a sworn enemy of a mathematics teacher, and even I can see problems with this one.
Okay, well, given everything that you just said, I think I'm in real trouble with this next one then. There's a very simple logic to this, though. Replace stupid people with trees.
Yeah, I'm already on board with this one. That should have been your campaign for this week.
Yeah, well, in case you haven't got there already, we need more trees and we need less stupid people. So if we replace stupid people with trees, the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah, there's some sort of word for that argument in terms of how facile and easy that argument is, but I can completely buy into it. Just get rid of them.
Yeah. I told my daughter this earlier, that I was thinking of this campaign, and she said, "But what are you going to do with the stupid people?" I was like, "Put them in a wood chipper."
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that one, Mark, that I'm just not going to touch.
Well, if we're replacing stupid people with trees, then really we have to replace the trees with the stupid people.
That is also true. I like it. Yeah. You've really branched out with this idea.
Anyway, so I didn't think I could go with that because I thought there might be some problems with the disposing of stupid people. Probably in a wood chipper is not the right answer. Don't do that. No matter how stupid somebody is, please don't put them in a wood chipper. Imagine that I feel the need to actually have to say that. That's a damning indictment of how stupid some people actually are, isn't it? I felt the need to say, don't care how stupid someone is or how stupid you are, please don't put actual people in wood chippers.
So they were the two you ruled out?
They're what I ruled out. So shall I tell you what I went with instead?
Yeah, this is your campaign.
This is my actual campaign for this week.
Go on.
Okay. Once again in the news, we are reminded of the obesity crisis in the UK. With coronavirus, a stark warning to cuddly Boris himself that he could probably do with shedding a few pounds, other than those that are pouring out of the Treasury on a daily basis. His response is simple. Despite the wishes of millions, he's refusing the offers to bog off and has stopped 2-for-1s on burgers, pizzas and kebabs, with turkey twizzlers now considered such dirty words that they can no longer be allowed to be uttered on TV before the watershed. But will this make any difference? Is there a better way? We've been told for a long time that it's important to eat your 5 a day, with a healthy amount of fruit and veg proven to have a positive impact on both your physical and your mental health. So it's shocking, really, that only 28% of us claim to get our 5 a day. Something needs to be done. To me, the answer seems simple. If we're not getting our 5 a day already, then we need to look at what we're consuming that could help us meet our target. And shockingly, not all fruit is being counted. What about the grapes? Surely we should be looking at the problem more positively and take a much more glass half full approach to finding the solution. We know that it doesn't work to just keep nagging people to do the right thing. It's time to stop the whinging and let the whining begin. By simply allowing wine to help us solve the most pressing of problems, we would surely get much closer to 100% of adults to meet the quota and thus improve the health and well-being of the nation in one fell swoop. And who wouldn't want to raise a glass to that? We need to count wine as one of our 5 a day.
I love it. I love it. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if you know, but I've got a real problem with wine o'clock. I don't know. It might have been a thing way back in the past on my Facebook profile, but I used to rail against, oh, it's wine o'clock, let's have wine. Oh. And I had a real issue with it. So what happened was people that I knew from the comedy circuit would then tag me in anything that mentioned wine o'clock. And I just got inundated with wine o'clock stuff. But this is a real populist play. This is straight out of Trump's playbook. This is straight out of Boris Johnson's playbook. You've thought long and hard, and you've thought, I know what people like, wine. What will make people feel better about having wine? I know, if they are made to believe that they are getting healthy from drinking wine.
Firstly, hands up That is absolutely the reason why I came up with this campaign, because I thought the people that back these campaigns are the people that love Wine O'Clock. They are the people that are going to be getting on board with this and saying, yes, of course, what a wonderful idea for a campaign. I must sign that, because then it gives absolute justification to me drinking copious amounts of wine every night. So, yeah, you got me, right? But I have to tell you, the fact that you rally so much against Wine O'Clock makes it even sweeter that this is what I went for. And I so hope that I beat you this week.
Well, I think we may have a fight on our hands, my friend, because I think I have got something even more right up people's alleys.
Go on then, tell me what you've got.
I think that someone with common sense should be employed to do supermarket delivery substitutions. Now, I've got a little bit of a game for you, Mark. Now, we've all been there, haven't we? Where, you order online and the groceries come and, then you start going through them and you realize that what you bought isn't the stuff that's there. Remember a couple of weeks ago, you did the campaign to make real life supermarket sweep?
Yeah.
I want to play a little bit of a game with you called Inane Substitutions.
Okay, go on, that sounds good.
So what we're going to do, and I should have really given you options here, because this is a really difficult game without options, but you're just going to have to pluck stuff from your brain. So I'm going to tell you what the person ordered, and I want you to just guess what they got.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so the person ordered guacamole. What did they get?
Well, I'm assuming that if guacamole wasn't available, then they just got some avocados for them to crush themselves.
Boom time! You got the first one right, mate. This person bought an ab wheel. You know, one of those wheels that you use and you wheel out your body and it works your abs?
Right.
Have you ever seen one of those?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
They ordered an ab wheel. What did they get?
Oh, man. A roll of sellotape.
Oh, not bad. That's a good guess. They got a 12-pack of Monster Munch.
I love that whoever was doing that was just like, oh, well, no ab wheels. Might as well not bother this week, mate. Have some Monster Munch.
Basically being trolled by your supermarket substitutions. Okay, you still got one. Somebody ordered some spring flowers. What did they get given?
Okay, now I think someone's gone literal on this, and they've got some bags of flour and potentially the way that you emphasise the word spring, also a spring.
Oh, you're not far off. I feel like I should give you a half point for this. They got, instead of getting given spring flowers, they got given spring onions. So you got 1.5 so far. I'll give you 1.5 for that, because I thought that was a good guess. Somebody ordered baby wipes. What did they get given?
Oh, I don't know. What if toilet roll?
They got given Bell's whiskey. Again, I think that's somebody with a real sense of humour doing the substitutions there.
Yeah, that's good. To the point where you're starting to talk yourself out of your own campaign with this game, because the substitutions that you're giving are so brilliant and funny that they're much, much better than anybody with common sense doing it.
Yeah, maybe. We've just got to see if I can activate the anger in the people that do the shopping everywhere. I'll do a couple more. So you got 1.5 so far. Multivitamins. What did they get given?
A packet of Skittles.
Oh, you're so close. Oh
Smart.
man, they got given Starburst.
Oh,
I'm going to give you half a point for that as
yeah.
well because you're in the right ballpark. So you got two. You're doing way better than I thought you were going to do. You're clearly very good at this game. I feel like you might have played it before.
It's because alongside doing this podcast, I also work in a supermarket doing the deliveries for.
You do the substitutions. You're the substitution boy. One more. Barbecue lighter fuel.
Again, I'm going to guess something. I think that's alcohol as well. I think that was something flammable like whiskey.
This bears no relation whatsoever. I have never tried to use this to light a barbecue in my life, and I don't think anybody has. Otherwise, their mental health needs looked at quite severely. They substituted the barbecue lighter fuel with a Freddo chocolate Easter egg.
Well, maybe they thought you could at least use the packaging and then enjoy the egg while you're watching it burn.
I don't know what was going on in somebody's head that day. Right, so there we go. You've done very well there. I can't remember how many I asked you, but I feel like you got two. Two is a good. If the rules had been reversed, I would not have got two. So well done, Mark. That job that you have in your local Asda is paying off in spades for our podcast. So here's my actual blurb for this week. Okay. We've all been there at the front door to collect the supermarket grocery shop when we hear the dreaded words no one wants to hear. There's a few substitutions for you. You wince, impaled by the knowledge that madness is coming out of these bags any minute now. That frozen fish, which was going to be used for seafood linguine, that's fabric conditioner. Good luck making that taste palatable. Perhaps next week when you need fabric softener, you can wedge a piece of cod into the washing machine drawer. Or the spring flowers you bought, they're spring onions, perfect for that centerpiece. Or were you looking forward to changing your hair to a burnt autumn glow after years of blonde? Well, you're in luck with these actual peppers. Grind them up into a paste and leave for a few hours before, hey presto, you look like an instant moron. And as for the switch they have offered for these tampons, the less said about that, the better. Who is deciding these substitutions? Stevie Wonder's more visually challenged sister? Enough is enough. Get the part-time students with Donald Trump's level of common sense away from this vital role, and let's get senior management up in there. For too long, we have had to wipe our backside with bread rolls. Time for a change. Time for supermarket substitutions to be actually fit for purpose. If we're going to be spending a lot more time at home post-lockdown in the new COVID-19 normal, then let us at least spend our money on something approximating what we have asked for.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, I'll go back to what I said before, really. I think that you are in danger of talking yourself out of a win on this by making the alternative so much fun.
Ah, well, I mean, you say that. I think people will remember how aggravated they have been at the front door when they realise something vital in their supermarket shop has been swapped for something absolutely crazy.
Oh, that's horrendous as well, actually, now that you say it. Fair enough.
I feel like we're reaching out to the same people this week, aren't we? With the wine and I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but with the wine and the supermarket shopping and so on, I feel like we've got the same target audience this week, which is going to make for a head-to-head.
It is going to be an interesting clash, although I do feel like as long as it's not their wine that's been substituted, then people are going to be all right, aren't they? Whatever's missing off your shopping list, they can just sit back and tuck into another bottle of Shiraz.
That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. Put some fish in their washing machine.
All right, so we'll stick the campaigns up online, and this week we really are going to go all out to try and get as much support as we possibly can for our campaigns. Who knows, we might even top the big numbers that we did last week. We're going to try and get people to back the campaigns by putting them all over the internet. If you're listening to this and you want to support us, then do please go on to Change and back just one of the campaigns. Pick which one's your favourite and go and support that. In the meantime, Andy, thank you very much once again for joining me.
It's always a pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing what you get up to this week, and let the battle commence.